Hey everybody, welcome back to Kirby University. This is a property that myself and my guys did here just a little while back. Huge, actually just the beginning of a brand new development, and so this is the entrance on this development. It's really a it was kind of a logistical and with the hills and angles and the just where we could park and things like that. It was kind of a nightmare. We ended up putting approximately 1,800 feet of curb on this whole project. We probably were there 7 or 8 times over about a week and a half span, as they got things ready. But if you look at, some of the, kind of the angles that we're looking at here, I mean, this is a pretty sharp decline. Sometimes it's hard to tell the actual angles, in videos like this, but you can kind of see what we're dealing with. This island right here was about 280 feet, and you can see from where he's having to go with the pile driver, how far away the our mixer and everything is. We had kind of a difficult time with all of this, just getting our wheelbarrow or the pile driver in there, and we had to have a pretty large crew. We had 5 people on this property. You can see how much, even with a pile driver, how much of a struggle it is to get up the hill. Now, where we had to park on this, it's a great thing having your own water and your pumps and things like that, because there's no water available anywhere here. And so where we had to park here was actually fairly close compared to the other one. And you'll see that at the end of the video. There's a 300-foot island that's across the highway, and that was a lot longer run. But this whole property itself, if you're just looking at how to run the machine and coming down a hill like this, I did have the brake on this machine. This is a PR Sting, so it does have a back brake to help with back pressure. So you can compact the concrete a little bit better. But using your body and your hips and all that, and still trying to maintain a line and trying to get everything smooth, it tends to be pretty difficult. If you're new to our videos and you're watching these guys finish, this is Justin and Austin. We have 2 trowels on the curb. First trowel is flared, so it's got a flare on both sides, so you're allowed to go back and forth if you need to do any type of fixing, or you have a rock in the curb, let's say, and you need to pull that rock out and do a little fixing. You can go back and forth. The second trowel that Justin has right now is a finishing trowel. It does not have a flare on the back, so it's only designed to go forward, which is going to get the curb really, really smooth, but it doesn't allow you to go backwards, or else you're going to dig that trowel in right into the curb, and it's not going to work very well. Now, Austin has sprayed a troweling lubricant on there. So that's what's in the sprayer. You can see it laying on the ground there. It's got a pink liquid in it. That's going to be your lubricant, and that's going to be sprayed on the curb, and it's going to allow your trowel to slide really easy, and it's going to close up anything that in the curb. That's going to make it a lot tighter and a lot smoother. In this shot right here, you can see my body position, and I'm basically sideways with the machine. It's a little bit better when you look at this angle. I'm looking at several different things here now. Basically, I'm sideways with the machine because I'm at a down angle. Okay, I don't want to be directly behind the machine because I don't want the front of the machine to slide down the hill. So being sideways like this allows you to do several different things. I'm looking at a line. I'm looking at compaction. I'm looking at how much waste is being left on each side. So there's a lot of things you have to look at. You can't just stare at one thing, or else you're going to have a lot of issues. There's a great angle right here on how steep this is. I really wanted you to kind of hear how this machine pumps, and then kind of just talk about coming around this boulder. You can see Justin, he's kind of down in front of the machine. What he's doing here is actually holding the machine for me and helping me push it up the hill, because I have very, very little traction coming up around this corner. Got that extra guy, have him hang on to the front of the machine. Okay, pull it in so it doesn't slide sideways, but help me pull it up the hill. we're going a little bit more vertical up the hill now instead of sideways. I should be able to get a little bit better traction going backwards, but you're still going to have to prevent the machine from going down. You can see how difficult it is to even keep the wheelbarrow in one spot. We're going to bring Andrew down here now. So we got 5 guys, 2 guys to help with the wheelbarrow, shovel, and all that. Now, for the most part, Justin isn't really pushing the machine up the hill unless I'm really struggling with traction. This is really, really hard on the back to pull that machine up the hill. It doesn't want to go by itself. So he's literally kind of preventing it from falling down on itself. We don't want the machine to fall down on the curb because you're going to have a blowout. So he's kind of judging how hard I'm pulling and judging really what the curb looks like as it comes out. And it's one of those situations where it's really difficult on everybody, including the guys shoveling and holding the pile driver. You can see the angles it's at. So really, it's to a point where, especially coming up past this big boulder and this big rock right here, where I had no traction whatsoever. I'm basically just steering, and there's 2 guys that are holding the machine and kind of helping me get that thing up the hill. Now you got to remember, you're trying to maintain a line. So the lines are smooth. You're trying to maintain, you're going to have plenty of compaction. You're trying to get the machine not to fall on itself and have a blowout. And it's really difficult. I would rather go downhill than go uphill. Now that scene right there obviously is going to show you actually how steep this is. It's very difficult. This whole these next 2 mixes were the most difficult, probably because of the angle and kind of going around a curve, but it really kind of slick ground. Probably the most difficult we've had in quite a while on trying to get that machine up the hill. I brought Andrew down after the next mix, and both of those guys were trying to really help me get up the hill. And again, still trying to maintain a line. You don't want a whole bunch of slag being left out on either side of the curb, but for the most part, you don't want it too low so it starts to dig, and then you're going to have issues where you're going to have a blowout and you have a lot of handwork to do. In this part right here, really this next 5 or 6 foot section, you can see how much space is being left in the curb. He's really pushing that curb machine up because I can't pull at all. I have no traction, I have no leverage. So he's just basically using everything he has to get that machine up the hill, and he's going to have to hand pack and do a lot of handwork to make sure that curb looks good. You can see right by that rock, it's all just just a mess. It almost would have been easier to hand pack some of this than to try to run the machine, but we had the manpower, so it's one of those things that wasn't an issue. I have to have a handle